I think one of the difficulties of playing a character like Doctor Who, or even if the Minister were to become a sort of major new Doctor Who, one of the difficulties now, which didn't really attend Patrick Troughton or William Hartnell or even Tom Baker, is the kind of focus of publicity that goes on these things. Tom Baker was deeply loved by all children of my generation. We absolutely adored him, but we didn't read articles about him in every newspaper. We didn't know what his private life was. He's since, of course, written an absolutely brilliant and entertaining autobiography. We learned he was a naughty old soul who liked to drink and liked the ladies. But if we'd had the kind of press then, I don't think he could have played Doctor Who. I think the focus, it's like a lens, it's like a magnifying lens. It both distorts and it burns, as you can burn your initials in wood from a magnifying lens. So you can focus, distort and burn people with publicity. And I think that's one of the great difficulties. The other one is, of course, one has to make sure when you're going back, which is often a mistake, remakes of things, the new this, the new that, they never really work, or the all new adventures of Baywatch Superman kind of thing. It's always a disaster to go back. Unless things are really thought through properly, and it needs to, what one needs is a truly intelligent kind of script editor and very, very good scripts that don't, that are not camp and self-knowing. You know, the great thing is we all laughed at the sets at the fact you could read the newsprint on the papier-mâché monsters virtually, you know. All that's very funny. You see the bits where the studs are supposed to go on the crash helmets that are supposedly space helmets. All that kind of stuff is fun. But if it gets self-knowing, if it gets arch, it gets self-referential, then it's destroyed. The beauty of Doctor Who was its kind of innocence. It didn't make fun of itself too much. I mean, in Douglas Adams' reign as script editor, there was some great wit, but it was all at the service of cracking good stories. I mean, we think of some of the people who wrote Terror Nation, obviously, one of the great storytellers of the 20th century, an extraordinary ability to write stories, not just for Doctor Who, but of course Survivors and other series of his, which just show a superb ability to tell stories and not draw attention to his own process, no vanity there. It's purely to entertain in the best way. And if I felt it was like that, then of course it would be an honour to be involved. But I think, you know, one does have to be very cautious of the attendant caravan of publicity that goes with almost anything nowadays.
One final question then, just a sort of flippant one really. If you had the chance to go back anywhere in time, any period in history and explore it, what would be the one that appealed to you and why?
I think there are two parts, and they're very close together. The beginning and the end of the 19th century are the ones I'd like to go to. I like the beginning of the 19th century, what you might roughly call the Regency era. There was so much going on, so much energy. I mean, from 1798, which is almost the beginning of the 19th century, you had things like the publication of lyrical ballads and the explosion of the romantic spirit, and it was a time when, you know, as it were, a kind of modernism in art was born, and you also had the fantastic stylishness of the bows and the bucks and the macaronis, you know, the fantastic style of dress and the incredible gambling and the stylish Regency dandy is a great figure, but also Jane Austen was around, and of course you had the Waterloo. You know, history was really being made in a way that somehow seems bigger. There was no battle's ever been bigger than Waterloo, and so 1815 was an extraordinary year, which saw the beginning of a new peace. And then at the end of the 19th century, you've got the sort of worlds overlapping, worlds of Oscar Wilde and Sherlock Holmes. Also the clank and clank of an industrialised world is beginning to see the first little cars arriving, and the trains are properly working, and there's a London Underground, and you know, it's just a fantastic mixture of things. And so those two, I go to about 1805 and about 1895.
Thank you very